Also, something that's near and dear to Kotze's heart. Is it Wade? Is that his first?
Wade Belak, National Hockey League player, just retired in March, was found dead in a hotel condo in Toronto yesterday, and it's the third.
He was enforcer.
It's the third technical
enforcer
this off-season summer that is, rumored to have taken their own lives. So there's something going on here, and
yeah, what's the deal? I mean, did you get any insight to this when you were talking to some people about this?
As soon as I found out about it, I called a few people up in Toronto, and they're trying to keep it close to the vest there. About they just found him dead in his room, but some people say that they found him hanging in his room. They found prescription drugs in the room, stuff like that. But it's just starting to get ridiculous.
Well, the thing is this guy was a very likable guy. He was very upbeat. There was no sign. I mean, did you talk to some people about that? Was there any sign of this?
No, he was looking forward to actually working for the Nashville Predators this year as a he was
going to be a color commentator.
Yeah, have they officially ruled it?
No.
Anything
one thing about the NHL, they'll keep things quiet.
Okay.
The last one before him was a Rick Rippon, was his name, kid that came from Vancouver to Winnipeg, and they kept that one real quiet too. But the inside people kind of figure he took his life too, and it's all about being a tough guy in the National Hockey League. They're taking prescription drugs for depression or something. Nobody knows what's going on here. One of the Rangers that I met, remember we talked about it, Derek Bugard. I mean, he was the first this summer in the off season to be found dead. And he was
this has happened within the last 6 months, you're saying?
Less than that.
The third individual.
It's all been about 3 months.
3-4 months it's happened.
I'm wondering if there's a common denominator drug that maybe is spiraling or having an effect.
They're talking about depression for most of these guys because it's a tough job to be a fighter in the National Hockey League.
Right.
Sure.
I mean, you might get a shift or two a game. You might not get a shift or two a game. But when you usually do get that shift, you're out there to do business.
But usually, I mean, here's the thing that I don't understand, especially with Belak. Is that
Wade Belak?
Wade Belak. He had a future. I mean, he signed on. He was going to be a color commentator. I mean, you can understand if somebody's down on their luck. I mean, it's tough to understand no matter what happens.
I was just going to say, you don't know their mind. I mean, to us, it doesn't make sense. But,
but
if they have a mental illness when it comes to depression or something of that nature,
maybe they were just following through and they were going through with the steps. And
it doesn't make sense to us retired players either, though, because I've talked to a few of my former teammates and stuff like that. And I don't want to make light of the situation, but when we were happy, when we were sort of in between, and when we were depressed and things weren't going well in our lives, we drank. I mean, that's what we did. I mean, I'm being deadly honest with you. There was no prescription drugs handed out to us for stuff like that. But that seems to be a common occurrence now.
Maybe because of being an enforcer, maybe it has to do with, who knows, maybe it's brain damage from injuries.
I will grant these guys this, though. Today's so much different being a tough guy today. Today, they're so big and super heavyweight that, believe me, if they hit you right, they could kill you. That's how big and strong
Plus,
they are.
Are any of these guys like?
So that's a lot of like tension in your going into a game, wondering, is tonight going to be my last fight?
Well, what I was going to say was, could they be juicing too? Because steroids, it definitely gives you mood shifts and mood swings.
I can't speak for that part because I'm so far out of the game that I only remember one guy ever taking steroids in my day.
I mean, do they even test in the NHL for? I don't think the NHL is as tough as like Major League Baseball.
No, but I think it's changed a little bit from my day too. I think the testing's a little bit more stringent now, but
because because steroids and it's shown.
It's just weird, Dan. Like for me to sit back and think about why now? Like why now? All of a sudden?
I mean, what's happening right now? I mean, that you had 3 within 3 months,
right?
All the same MO.
Same age bracket and everything?
One guy was younger.
This is the oldest. Wade Belak was 35 years old. He just retired. Rick Rippon was 27.
Oh, my
I think
God.
Derek Bugard was 27.
Yeah. They were still in the prime of their career.
Right.
And it's just weird how they've all been found dead, either in their home or their apartment or a condo or a hotel room. And I don't want to speculate 100%, but I think there's a big problem. I think there's a problem with the physicians from the teams.
Sure.
okay, you got a problem with depression? Here, take these.
Take a pill.
I mean, there's got to be something going on.
Well, the
here.
problem with these depression pills, and if anybody we talked about this. Anybody that's ever been on any of this stuff, I mean, it's supposed to be to get you over the hump, and then you need some kind of mental therapy,
right,
so that you can start living again. So you're not on these things all the time.
Right. It's not meant for long term. It's not meant for solitary.
But that's
use.
the problem with it. I mean, when I quit smoking 6 years ago, I was on Paxil and Xanax because
Really?
I was getting the heebie-jeebies and everything. The nicotine leaving my body just.
That's an actual medical term.
Oh, whatever.
Heebie-jeebies. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a pill for that.
I'll be honest with you. I couldn't believe it. Like what was going on inside my body. I was getting anxiety and everything. And I realized, though, after a while taking these things, I said, you got to get off them. So I started biting them little piece by piece, going from a full one to 2/3 of a one.
See, you did it yourself.
I was going to say.
I was scared of being addicted to this. Because
Right.
they actually made you happy. You did feel good every day.
Right.
And you slept like a baby every night.
You had the foresight
now
to
I'm
say.
not happy every day. And I don't sleep like a baby every night.
But I'm happier.
But I'm not addicted to it either.
Yeah, there's a case for this.
What?
Yeah. No, it's something's going on there, and I think the NHL's got a lot of explaining to do. I really do.
Well, do you think that they're actually going to follow up and do any of this?
I think they will now. I think you're going to see a big outcry now.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, the problem inherently now is hockey is not the top sport.
No.
You know, it's not like...
I agree with that.
It's still an underdog.
It's still
kind of.
number 4 in the 4 major sports that everybody goes to see and everybody talks about. And the problem with that is now it won't get the media attention that it deserves. So as long as the heat is not on the NHL, they really are hoping that this will just kind of go away.
Well, I think that's what they've tried to do in the past, but I don't think this one's going to go by as easy. Only because of the amount and
because
how
there's 3
quick this
people
is
within 3
happening.
months.
And, you know, there's always been a cry for taking fighting out of hockey, so this is going to make it even more of a problem.
How do you feel about that?
You know, I don't know how I feel about that, because if this is what's going to happen to these guys, nobody should lose their lives over stuff like this.
Right.
But on the other hand, I'm still old school.
Right.
The odd fight or two shouldn't be a problem, I think, in the NHL. But if it's going to continue like this, then, you know, who knows, Gary? They might just ban fighting completely. And
That'd change the game.
yeah, it would definitely change the game.
Completely change the game.
Definitely change the game.
No, I think they're going after the wrong thing. I think if they ban fighting, I don't think it's going to do anything. I think what they need to do is look at the drug use and how these doctors are prescribing antidepressants. I mean, when you see the warnings on these things,
Right.
it says you could get suicidal tendencies, which to me doesn't make any sense. It's like
It's
taking
supposed to make you happy.
Right. You know, it's like taking Imodium and on the bottle it says this may give you diarrhea. You know, I mean, what the hell? I mean,
Well,
you know,
is it possible that when the medication, when these pills,
sorry about that.
you are
Kazi choke.
I almost
you,
didn't get that one down.
We almost had number 4.
you are on
Nazi almost
so
went down.
much. Maybe it's because you're on so much of a high from these medications that when the pill wears out in your system, that's when you come down so hard and you
Right.
crash, and you need to take another pill right away. Otherwise, you have this huge.
Yeah, it's tragic.
Crash and that-
Well,
it's so
there's
tragic. It's just that, you know, when I talk with former teammates, like we're kind of cold about it sometimes too. Like, what do they got to be depressed about? They make 10 times more money than we
Yeah.
ever did, but obviously there's problems.
It's a different world.
And I'm
now.
sure there's
it's obviously
pressure with
there's
that
problems.
It's a different world, unfortunately.
He had 2 kids, Wade Bielak. I mean, you know, a wife and 2 kids, and they were getting ready to settle. He was going to do a Battle of the Blades. For those in the United States don't know what that is, that's former hockey players
Right.
skating with former figure skaters up in Canada. It's
That's
like a reality
cool.
show.
Yeah,
where, you
that's
know,
a
there's
great show.
competition. He was all set to sign up on that. I mean, what changed between a day or two ago to yesterday
Right.
is what
Here's
they got to figure out.
here's inherently the problem, and with the drugs
Chicks with
because
sticks. That's what they should call.
well, I was thinking gay blades. You know, with have
Wow.
George Michael.
Believe me, I've seen some of the videos on that, and that's just about
Wow.
what I picture Ron Duguay holding the figure skater
Wow.
up in the air. How about Kenny
gonna say-
Danico was doing it too last year?
Oh, he was?
Oh yeah, there
Kenny
it is.
Danico
the
did it?
bulldog. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, one of the ugliest guys
Imagine
I've ever
getting
met.
stuck with him as your partner.
Wow.
Actually, he did well.
Who's
did?
lifting
Yeah.
who in that
Yeah, right,
situation? Where do you push your hands
Holy
for that?
crap! There's some kind of beast lifting me up in the air.
Oh,
Kenny Danico.
jeez.
So, oh Lily.
Yeah, he lifts you up, he spins you around, and then he throws you in the net, and then the siren goes off. That's the trick.
Whoa! Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Whoa!
Triple axel, and then you score.
I heard that horn too many times in Chicago when they scored on us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Toe pick, look out.
That's the Ranger one.
Oh, there's the Ranger one. I don't have any other one on here. So going back to the subject, I hope the NHL takes this seriously. But what they need to do is they need to set up counseling for these guys, because here's a guy that had everything going for him, 2 kids.
Yeah.
And he had obviously a mental condition that if somebody sat down and talked with him and he got counseling, he probably would have worked his way through it. But a lot of these guys put themselves in a corner and they feel like they got no way out.
Yeah.
They feel like they're it. And I'm sure it falls in line. I mean, you know, from being an enforcer, you have a certain role in the team, and you're almost like the father of everybody to watch out for them.
These guys don't get to play hockey technically. What they get to do is fight.
Right.
And that's their job. They get paid well for it these days. In my day, you basically, the enforcer sat the bench the same way. But most of the tough guys in the league were able to play the game a little bit. It's changed. It's all super heavyweights now, Gary. These guys are monsters.
Guys, do they not know how to play at all, or they can play a little bit?
They obviously can play, good enough to get to the NHL, but they're not counted on to be a threat offensively, help the team out in any part of the actual game, except take care of their stars.
Now, how did you feel as the enforcer?
I was never really in that category. I think that's a mistake for everybody to say that. I never led any of my teams in penalty minutes when I played. I did my share. I'm not going to deny it. I mean, I fought the top guys in the NHL when I played, but I actually played anywhere from 18 to 22 minutes a game.
Right, so you were an actual player. You actually got you skated.
I played a regular shift. I played against the top lines. I played against the lousy lines. You name it. I played against them. But I did do my share. I'm going to admit it. I mean, I fought. I mean, you had to. I mean, that's just the way it is. If you're big, that's what they expect of you.
Is there one enforcer on every team? Or is it 2? Or is there
now
3?
There's basically 1.
Right.
But when I played, you had 1 enforcer that was paid to be enforcer, and you probably had 2 or 3 other guys that were capable of doing it, like myself.
Right. You were one of the guys that was capable, but you weren't the enforcer.
I wasn't the guy that was going to go. The coach was going to tap you on the shoulder and say,
"Right,
get out there." And when you got that tap as an enforcer.
He knew what you had to do.
He didn't want you to go out there to tie the game or win the game.
Right. He knew what he had to do. Did he know who he was going after when he tapped him?
Yeah. I mean, they're well aware of it. They know.
Who was the enforcer when you were the Whalers? Who was the enforcer on your team?
Torrey Robertson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was a pretty tough guy. Not a great fighter, but he fought them all.
Yeah.
I mean, you get his 300-plus minutes every year, and then you'd come down the list a little bit down to me.
The interesting thing was Nicky Fotillo the enforcer on the team. He wasn't really. He was a role player, wasn't he?
No. Nicky was a tough guy. He was an enforcer on basically all.
And he was a little guy.
Well, he's not that. He was. Yeah, compared to today.
I'm talking about compared to if you looked at him and you looked at the bigger guys. I mean, next to you, he's a little guy.
Yeah, well, Nicky's lost a lot of weight now. In his retirement, he was about 2. He was actually heavier than I was when I played.
Well, but what I'm saying is he wasn't tall.
No,
and
6'5",
right.
6'1". Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But Nicky was tough. Nicky was well.
I know.
Nicky was feared.
He pushed
big
me
time.
away from the bar with his pinky. And he wasn't even in his prime. So I know how tough Nicky Fotillo is.
Everybody's heard of Dave Schultz. I mean,
yeah.
Whether you follow hockey or not, he's a famous tough
with
guy
the
for the Flyers when they won Stanley Cups. And if you read his book, see, he says it right there. The only guy he ever feared was Nick Fotillo.
Yeah. I feared him when I was just talking to him.
Terrified of him.
Oh, he's got ham hocks for hands. He's a tough guy, regular guy, but a tough guy.
Well, he's born in Staten Island. I mean, he used to tell us some stories. I mean, it's like I remember one night after a game in New York, Nicky went to the parking lot across the street where we got our free parking, and somebody tried to rob him at gunpoint.
Who would be
here's a guy from
dumb
Staten Island. I'm thinking, like I'm from Canada. I'm like, sure, you can have everything.
Just take it.
Not
right.
Nicky. Nicky just walks to his car and tries to run the guy down. The guy's got a gun in his hand.
Wow.
He just kept going, got to his car and tried to run him down, and I'm like,
By the way, that car was a Hyundai.
Yeah.
There you go.
By the way, whenever you're being held up in a parking lot, do not run anybody down unless you're driving a Hyundai.
That's
from
right.
Major Hyundai. It's very
I
important.
mean, I could tell you another quick story about Nicky, the way he thought. We used to have a room in our dressing room there where leather chairs and TV and everything else in Madison Square Gardens. And we're watching remember ABC used to have the fights with Howard Cosell?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's before the game, and we're watching these two guys just kill each other on TV. I mean, it was one of the, rock'em sock'em fights, and we knew Nicky was an ex-Golden Gloves boxer, so Nicky walks in,
Wow.
and we look at Nicky and go, Nicky, what do you think of this fight? And he looks at it for 30 seconds, looks at it, because I've seen two guys fight better on the subway.
That's
the way Nicky was.